next door to you. And I got up to my room and I realised there was a hole from my shower cubicle through to Cal Smiley's shower cubicle. And I should have reported it to maintenance, but I just thought, what the hell, let her look. And I had picked up one of these cards, said visiting massage, and I had some time to spare in the afternoon. I thought it could be interesting, so I phoned the number. And I said, I wonder if you're available to visit my hotel room, and I see that you dress up, and I wonder perhaps if there's a uniform going, and maybe some adult toys, and maybe some scented oils and things like that. And it'd be nice, maybe some whipped cream, bananas, maybe a big pineapple, something. I said, how does that sound? And the young lady said, it sounds great, Mr. Westwood, but you need to dial 9 for an outside line. And after one dinner in London, it was an extremely boring dinner, and I came out afterwards and went into the pub next door. And I was in there 20 minutes before I realised it was a gay bar. So I said to the bloke I was dancing with, I said, we need to get out of here. He said, we can't do that, Jack. I said, why not? He said, we're in the final. Where would we be, ladies and gentlemen, without a sense of humour? Edinburgh. I understand that Charlie Bell recently had to go to Edinburgh on business. Simultaneously, the average IQs of both Edinburgh and Glasgow shot up. There's been all this hullabaloo in Edinburgh about the pandas and whether it's going to be pregnant, whether it's going to be a baby panda or whatever, but something you may not also be aware of is that they've been having problems in mating the gorillas in Edinburgh Zoo. And I know that Stuart Torbett recently started his new job there. And the head keeper spoke to Stuart and he said, look, just hear me out, think about this, but would you be willing to mate with the female gorilla for 500 quid? And Stuart said, well, can I have a night to think about it? So they came back the next day, he said, well, what do you think? And he said, no, I'm up for it, I'll do it. He said, but in 3 conditions. He said, what's that? He said, well, number 1, there's no kissing on the lips. Number 2, I want any children brought up as Partick Thistle supporters. And number 3, can you give me another week to come up with the 500 quid? I should also make you aware, ladies and gentlemen, that Bernie Mitchell bought the top table a drink. That was my sip. Now, I've got 3/4 of an hour left, so I know that some of you here tonight will have wives or girlfriends, some of you may have both. Some of you will have sisters or lovers, and indeed looking around the room, some cases it might even be the same person. Certainly my new girlfriend actually thinks I'm a stalker. Well, I say girlfriend, we've not actually met yet. And as Robert Burns himself, ladies and gentlemen, once wrote, women can't live with them. And I think, to be honest, however, ladies, am I not correct in saying that a woman's work is never done? Yes? Yes. You could try and organise yourselves a bit better. They're funny creatures, women, aren't they? I mean, imagine not recognising a bow hair as a legal measurement. Bizarre. And I was in town recently, and I was in Buchanan Street, and I saw Jo Brand, the comedian, and she was wearing a t-shirt that said hip-hop on it. I could only assume that the C and the S had fallen off. And there was a bank robbery when I was there in Buchanan Street. The chap had gone into the sawn-off shotgun and he was getting the bag filled with used £50 notes. And everyone stood there with their hands in the air, and he turned around to this wee fella and said, if you saw me in the street, would you recognise me again? The wee fella said, aye, I think so. Blew his head clean off his shoulders. He turned around to this other wee fella and he said, what about you? Would you recognise me? The wee fella said, no, not a chance. But Isa here, she's really good with facial. this huge polis, unencumbered by a neck, and he came up to me with his German Shepherd and he said, "My dog tells me you've been taking drugs." I said, "I've been taking drugs, you're the one with the talking dog." Now, gentlemen, in the last hour that I have available, I have to give you some important information. This is, I believe, the secret to a long and happy marriage, and indeed some of you may want to write this down. Tools, options, internet, delete, history. But it's also an absolute pleasure here to have Justine replying on behalf of the lassies. It was Justine's birthday this week, and got her a new bag and a belt, and she tells me that the Hoover's picking up much better now. And this year we will in fact celebrate our 27th wedding anniversary, and for our 25th we went up to Gleneagles. You've been up there, it's fantastic. At Gleneagles Hotel you can get blutered out your brains for slightly under 900 quid. We arrived and the manager came up and he said, "Oh yes, we're expecting you, Mr. Westwood, we've given you the bridal suite." I said, "The bridal suite? We've been married for 25 years. He said, "I could have given you the ballroom, but you don't have to dance." But Justine has frequently described me as her model husband, and I took that as a compliment until I looked it up in the dictionary, and it actually means a miniature representation of the real thing. However, ladies and gentlemen, in the last 90 minutes I would like to talk about Robert Burns. Robert Burns himself said that there are three types of women: the intelligent, the beautiful, and the vast majority. Now, before you all jump on me, before you all shout me, he actually wrote, and sums this up rather nicely, he wrote of Willie Wassell's wife. He said, "She has an E, she has but ane. The cat has twa, the very colour. 5 rusty teeth for by a stump, a clapper tongue with D a miller. A whisking beard about her mouth, her nose and chin they threaten her. Sic her wife as Willie had, I wouldna gie a button for her. She's bow-hocht, she's hem-shinned, a limping leg a hand-breed shorter. She's twisted right, she's twisted left, to balance fair in ilka quarter. She has a hump upon her breast, the twin of that upon her shoulder. Sic her wife as Willie had, I wouldna gie a button for her." Which reminds me, Justine, we need to phone your mother tomorrow. However, ladies and gentlemen, in all seriousness, I think that if the scientists who discovered the nature of DNA had not done so, it's a reasonable assumption that someone, at some point, would do so. And if Robert Burns had not written "My love is like a red, red rose," we wouldn't have heard the words, as we heard so beautifully from Alistair and Alison earlier on, when he wrote, "Till a' the seas gang dry, my dear, and rocks melt with the sun, I will love you still, my dear, while the sands of life shall run. And fare thee weel, my only love, and fare thee weel a while, and I will come again, my love, though it were 10,000 mile." As Justine will confirm, I'm not an overly romantic, emotional, or indeed poetic man, but that one does it for me every time, and exposes the true feelings of men towards the lassies, as expressed by Robert Burns. And I think it's hard to top that song, but also, as we heard earlier on, No Toast to the Lassies would be complete without the words from Green Grow the Rashes O. Old nature swears the lovely dears, her noblest work she classes O. Her prentice hand she tried on man, and then she made the lassies O. I appreciate your attention tonight. Thank you very much for listening. It's been a lovely way for me to finish my community service. Bernie himself mentioned earlier on about a bottle and an honest friend, and I think there's a few bottles and honest friends about this evening, and it's been an absolutely superb evening. I thoroughly enjoyed being here. Gentlemen, here's to all the kisses we've ever snatched. and vice versa. My 2 words are now up. Gentlemen, would you please be upstanding and join me?
That was pretty good.
To the masses.